era are actually probably in your history books that you're looking at. So this will be an opportunity for you guys to be able to pick their brains. Some of the things that I think are really important are those memories that they're going to be sharing with you that you have yet to accumulate on your own. But those memories that they're going to share with you, I hope, Lord willing, will inspire you to continue the path that you've chosen. One of the other things that I'm really excited about are people like Jason Spence and others that'll be here today, and Jay Frank, who I'll bring to the stage in a moment, who at one point in their lives were focused on music, but all of a sudden were introduced to sound, or introduced to lights with Matthew Kilgore here today. Or maybe they were introduced possibly to somebody who's involved with the business side, the marketing side, the building of staging and all of that, all of which are part of what we do. So these are positions that very rarely get acknowledged, but this is something that I really hope to impart to many, and you might be one of those people today. So anyway, let's move forward. This gentleman that's first coming up tonight is the Senior Vice President of CMT. He has a new book out called Future DNA. He's been involved with Yahoo and expanding their market to like 29 million people. Just an incredible individual, a comrade who shares a lot of the same spirit that we have here today. So ladies and gentlemen, I'll keep still. Would you please welcome Mr. Jay Frank from CMT. Thank
you. Good morning, everybody. How are y'all doing? All right. First and foremost, you have 7 seconds to impress your listener. When you create a song and you want somebody to like that song, you have 7 seconds to impress them. Now, what I want to talk to you about today is how music consumption and how people are discovering music has changed with the digital age. But the one thing that is most important that I have found through my years of working through digital music is that the audience will give you 7 seconds to be impressed with your music. Now, obviously, I'm doing the same thing for you right now. I'm actually just engaging you by giving you the top line. This is what you got to remember right now, and I'm hoping you do that because then you'll get interested, then you'll actually listen to everything else that I have to say, and then hopefully by the end of it, you'll buy the book, which looks like this, on sale over there. And it's very important, because right now, that's the way people's attention spans are. They are this short. Think about this. Think about if you were home right now this morning, and you were discovering some music, whether it's because you put on a Pandora radio station, or you just had a playlist, or you put your iPod on shuffle as you're wandering around. You know, your brain is not fully engaged. You're hitting that skip button to the next thing way more often than you might think about because you're not fully awake. The caffeine hasn't kicked in. Well, think about that. People who are not hardcore music fans are doing that every single day of their lives. And here's another sobering stat. If you think about this, if you look around you and look around at everybody else who's out there consuming music, the one thing that the digital age has done is it's made it so much easier for everybody to make music and distribute it. How much so? If each one of you decided to go home and stay up 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and do nothing but listen to music front to back, it is physically possible for you to only listen to 5% of recorded music that's released every single week. Think about that. It is physically possible for you to only hear 5% of the music that's released every single week. And that's presuming you don't want to hear a song for a second time. And it's then realizing that the next week, there's another 5% that you can only listen to, and the next and the next. It's impossible to get to it. Nobody has got the time. Now, obviously, nobody's going to actually try to do that. For one thing, you might just not like jazz music, or you might not like world music as an example, so you're just going to ignore those kind of categories. But the reality is, most people are overwhelmed. They see all of this music out there, and they feel it, and what they do is that they make these hard choices, and they don't give music time to impress them. The old adage of, no, don't bore us, get to the chorus, it's never more true than today. So, what does that actually mean for music consumption? Well, the interesting thing right now is, in the old days when you had radio, people would discover music because they're flipping through radio stations. They're changing channels, going to different channels, going to, just seeing what else is out there. But the interesting thing of what has happened now is, how are people discovering most music now? They're doing it online. How is that happening? Well, they're listening to streams on a music blog. They're listening to streams off of people's MySpace page. They're watching videos on YouTube. They're looking at subscription services. They're downloading the songs legally, downloading the songs illegally. We all know that's happening. These are all parts of the music discussion. Now, the interesting thing, though, is that in that part, one thing has actually changed dramatically. And that's the fact that when you put all of those things together, and put all of those music discovery mechanisms together, everybody does the exact same thing, in that nearly every single bit of music discovery, starts at the beginning of the song, at 0 seconds. Now this seems obvious. Well, of course, people are going to hear the songs at the beginning, but you have to realize that when people were discovering music off of radio and MTV, that was not the way people consumed music. People consumed music discovered music because they actually listened to a hook. Something changed in their mind that all of a sudden they're paying attention to something new that's on the radio station in the middle. But that's not happening anymore. Now it's happening in an on-demand world. And that on-demand is starting all music discovery at 0 seconds, what I call a zero-play environment. So when you're out there creating music at whatever level you are, be it artist, songwriter, or producer, you have to recognize that you have, again, 7 seconds to impress somebody. But the beauty of music discovery in the digital age is that you know exactly what those 7 seconds are. When it was at radio, you had to make a song figuring, okay, somebody's going to come in here and you have to design your hooks and your choruses in certain ways. But now, in terms of engaging somebody, you actually have something in common in that you know that it's those first 7 seconds that are important. And the reason why it's important is not just because you get that engagement and you get somebody hooked, but all of the data shows if you get somebody to listen to a song past the first 10 seconds, the chances that they listen to the entire song increase exponentially. It's those first 10 seconds that make the biggest difference in the song. If you actually think to yourself and think about how you listen to music, think about when you go and hit a skip button on a Pandora or on your iPod, or if you go to surf to another web page, or if you go to another YouTube video. If you think about that, how much time do you give? And you guys are music fans. Imagine when you have somebody who is not a music fan. They have too much to do. There's too many things to do. They need to go look at family photos. They need to look at video games, the goofy YouTube video. They need to do all of that. So you have to grab them, and then when you do, they stick through the longer part of the song. And the reason why that's important is because one thing has not changed, and that it still takes 5 to 7 listens of a song for that song to become something that somebody's going to remember. This has not changed. This has been like this for as long as I think people know recorded music. If you want somebody to remember your song, they're going to remember it after they hear it about 5 to 7 times. So it used to be, how do I go and convince a radio station to play my record? That was the big goal. How do I get radio to play my record? And the reason why that was important was because without it, you would never get that first listen. How is anybody going to even discover it? But once you had it, the radio station kept it in rotation and it played it over and over again, meaning it became very easy to get to those 5 to 7 listens. The radio station bangs it, plays it, plays it, plays it, plays it. Now, the difference now is online, I get you to listen to a song, I go tell you guys, hey, you've got to listen to band X. You'll go listen to it the first time. That first listen is easy. The second listen, that's the hardest. So it's a really interesting paradigm that's happened right now with your music. Getting people to actually discover your song once is the easy part, but getting them to actually hear it a second time, it's hard. If you think about it, what you've done, what you probably do with your own music, there's, again, so much music out there. Who's got the time to go and give a song a second chance when you have so much other music to listen to. So what happens is, you listen to the song once, you make an opinion of that song, and then when you go to a cocktail party or something and you say, hey, what did you think of the new so-and-so? You go, yeah, they were okay, I kind of like that song, it's alright. You have something, you can talk about it, you can be part of the common dialogue, but in actuality, the person's just heard that music once, and they're not going to be somebody that's going to make you guys have financial security so that your music can be a career. So what you have to do then is you have to figure out ploys to engage people into your song a second time. One of the things I advocate on that is think about the ending of the song. Think about the ending of your song, because you have to make sure that that ending impacts somebody in a way that forces your song to be memorable. I personally suggest when you end a song, you basically make your ending false. You make it incomplete. You don't do that traditional chord resolution. You don't do that long fade. If you actually look at the top selling downloads so far this year, only 10% of the songs have any sort of fade. If you think about the songs that you love in pop music, how many of them have fades? A ton of them. Now, very little. Most songs don't, and there's a reason. The reason is because you have to leave it so that that ending is sharp. The ending feels like it ended before it was supposed to. Because if you do that, the brain tries to re-engage. If you go and you actually have an ending without a chord resolution, your brain wants to fill that gap. The brain wants to actually say, I want to feel good, I want to feel comfortable. And what it'll do is, and if anybody really wants to get some really dense reading, there's a book called This Is Your Brain on Music, which really goes in depth on this. If you listen to the music, and all of a sudden it stops, your brain will go and fill it in. Like, how many times have anybody just gone out there and been humming a song all day and not think, why are they humming the song? They can't figure out why, right? There's a good chance the reason why you did that is because you were somewhere and you heard part of that song, but you didn't hear the song finish. And if you don't hear the song finish, your brain tries to fill that in for you. Now, you can do the same thing with new songs. So if you go and you actually make your ending incomplete, there's a higher than likely chance that that person is going to sing it, even if it's just for a couple of minutes. But that couple of minutes will then set up a positive reaction to say, hey, wait a second, I kind of like this song. Maybe I'm going to want to hear it again. Because that 5 to 7 listens, which is the important part for all of you to know, because the 5 to 7 listens and that familiarity is what ultimately will drive people to buy your downloads, to see you in concert, to go and talk about you with friends. Make no mistake, you've got to have music that people want to talk about. That 5 to 7 listens is important, and if they get that positive association and get to the second listen, listens 3, 4, and 5 become really, really easy. The biggest hurdle you have after those first 10 seconds is getting somebody to listen once to twice. The other thing you can do is, hopefully if they've listened to it once and they have a positive association with your music, is give them different versions. Give them different reasons to want to come back and listen to the song. These could be remixes, these could be acoustic versions, these could be live versions, these could be videos, these could be multiple videos. Doesn't really matter. Give them multiple reasons to come back and hear your music. Give them reasons to say, this is different. Somebody out there in YouTube land goes and does something goofy with your song. They make a goofy video of them dancing around with their cat. Put it up and promote it to your fans. Let them do it. Not because you want to be associated with dancing cats, but because it gives people an excuse to listen to your music again. That's key. Get people to listen to that music more often. It is so difficult right now. If you try to talk to the major labels right now and find out what are their biggest difficulties, it's not getting people to hear the music. They got enough money to do that. It's getting people to hear the music again. And there's so many different ways to do it. How many of you know the new CeeLo song? How many of you have heard the new CeeLo song? Show of hands. And see, now this is amazing, because in the world of viral music, this song, CeeLo, which, and this will wake you up, the song's called Fuck You, a little easy to remember. The song is hugely viral at this point. It's already sold about 125,000 downloads. And one of the things that the artist did when they first released the song was they made a video. But they didn't just make a video of the song, they took the lyrics to the song, he took the lyrics to the song, and he just put up the video with just the lyrics. So people were engaged because the song catchy little number and has a curse word in the title, so it gets people to talk about it. And they go and watch it with the lyrics. Oh, this is great. 2 weeks later, he comes out with the actual video, which is the concept video, and guess what? Well, everybody who liked the song the first time has to go back and say, well, now I've seen the version with the lyrics, now I got to see what he actually wants to do with the video. Boom. You get that second listen, now that song becomes that much more likely to be cemented in somebody's mind, and that's what's helping sell that music. So again, you've got to go and actually have that impact going in there. Now, the reason why I'm telling you all this is the interesting part of the digital age is all of this stuff was supposed to be easy. If you think about the promise 5 years ago that many people were told about digital music and what that meant, and everything else that you're going to hear today, which are all very, very important things for you to know in terms of furthering your career in the music business, everybody was saying, look at how open the world is going to be. Napster can go and get my music out to everybody. I don't need the major labels anymore. I don't need that. Guess what? Everything got harder. The digital revolution made it harder. And the reason why is because of that 5% I was talking about. All of this stuff is important because if you want to cut through the clutter, you have to do something loud, and you have to do something impactful, and you have to do it fast. So those long intros are not working anymore. I'll give you another example. If you actually took the top 50 selling downloads so far this year, the top 50 songs that have sold the most downloads, first off, the one thing, as I told you before, is that only 10% of them have a fade. Every single other one ends